People always say you can feel it when something in your life is about to break. I didn't feel a crack. I felt a slow, quiet fear, the kind you ignore until it's too late. My name is Emily Carter, and for 7 years, I believed I was living a safe, happy life. I was married to Ryan, intelligent, confident, and respected. Everyone thought we were the perfect couple. He had a stable career in finance, a charming smile, and the ability to make people trust him within minutes. And then there was Lena, my best friend since college, the person who stood next to me at my wedding, the woman who knew all my secrets and promised to protect them. Or so I believed. The life I trusted. Ryan and I lived in a quiet neighborhood where nothing ever seemed to go wrong. Mornings were calm, evenings were predictable. Dinners together, small talks about work, plans for the future. A year earlier, my father had transferred $1 million into an investment account under my name. "This money is for your security," he had told me. "No matter what happens, you'll always be safe." Ryan knew about the money. He smiled when my dad mentioned it. He said it was smart planning. I didn't notice how his eyes lingered just a second too long. Lena used to come over often, sometimes when I wasn't home yet. She said my house felt like home to her. I felt proud of that. Looking back now, I should have felt afraid. The first strange feeling. Small things started changing. Ryan began staying late at work. Lena started texting less, then more. They both suddenly shared the same jokes. Whenever I answered the room, their conversation stopped. "Am I interrupting?" I once joked. They laughed too quickly. I told myself I was imagining things. After all, they were the two people I trusted most in the world. What could possibly go wrong? The night, everything shifted. One Tuesday evening, Ryan kissed my forehead and grabbed his jacket. "Late meeting," he said casually. Minutes later, Lena texted me, "Feeling sick today, staying home." Something about that message felt cold. I tried to ignore it, but an hour later, as I sat alone in the living room, a strange thought hit me. What if I'm wrong about everything? I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked out the door, not knowing that I was about to step straight into a truth that would destroy my marriage, my friendship, and the life I thought was mine. I wish I could say I turned back that night. I wish I could say I trusted my instincts enough to stay away, but curiosity and fear pushed me forward. I didn't go to Ryan's office. Instead, I drove home. The streets were quiet, lights glowing softly behind curtains, everything looking painfully normal. As I turned into my neighborhood, my heart started beating faster. Then I saw it. A familiar car parked 2 houses down. Lena's car. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. "She said she was sick," I whispered to myself. I parked slowly, hoping I was wrong, hoping there was a logical explanation. But deep down, I already knew. The door I was afraid to open. The house was dark, except for the soft glow from the bedroom window. I unlocked the front door as quietly as I could. Inside, the air felt heavy. Then I heard it. Laughter. Not loud, not careless, intimate. The kind of laughter you share when you feel safe with someone. Each step toward the bedroom felt heavier than the last. My chest hurt. My hands were shaking as I reached for the door. I opened it. Time stopped. Ryan was standing near the bed. Lena was wrapped in my blanket. For a second, no one moved. Then Lena screamed. Ryan's face turned pale. "Emily, wait, this isn't what it looks like," he said, the oldest lie in the world spilling from his mouth. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at them, trying to understand how 2 people I loved could look like strangers in my own bedroom. The silence that hurt more. I trusted you, I said quietly. Ryan reached for me. I stepped back. Lena started crying, saying my name again and again, apologizing, begging. I felt nothing. No anger, no tears, just a deep, hollow silence. I turned around and walked out. Neither of them followed me. That hurt more than the betrayal itself. A lonely night. I drove without knowing where I was going. Eventually, I stopped at a small hotel on the edge of the city. I sat on the bed, fully dressed, staring at the wall until my phone started buzzing. Missed calls, messages, voicemails. Ryan, Lena. I didn't open a single one. Around 3 a.m., my phone vibrated again. This time, it was an email notification from my bank. I almost ignored it, but something told me not to. The discovery. The subject line made my stomach drop. Pending transfer request. Action required. I logged into my account, and there it was. A request to transfer $1 million to an unfamiliar offshore account. My account. My name. My authorization. But I hadn't done anything. Suddenly, everything connected. The late nights, the secrecy, the sudden closeness. This wasn't just an affair. It was a plan, and I was the target. As I stared at the screen, one thought repeated in my mind. They weren't just stealing my trust. They were trying to steal my future. With trembling fingers, I picked up my phone and scrolled to one contact. The only person who could help me now. My dad. My fingers hovered over the screen for a moment before I pressed call. It was almost 3:30 a.m. I had never called my father at that hour before. He answered on the second ring. Emily? His voice was instantly alert. What's wrong? That was all it took. The strength I had been holding on to shattered. Dad, I need you, I whispered. The call that saved me. I told him everything about Ryan, about Lena, about walking into my bedroom and realizing my entire life had been a lie. Then I told him about the email, the $1 million transfer. There was silence on the line. Not shock, not panic, just calm. Listen to me carefully, my dad said firmly. Are you somewhere safe? Yes, I'm at a hotel. Good. Do not go home. Do not confront anyone. And whatever you do, do not cancel that transfer yourself. My heart skipped. Why not? Because, he said slowly, we're going to catch them. My father takes control. By sunrise, my father was already moving. He contacted his personal attorney, a woman who specialized in financial fraud. Then he brought in a forensic accountant he had trusted for years. Within hours, they traced the offshore account. It wasn't random. It was connected to a shell company recently registered, under Ryan's cousin's name. That's deliberate, the accountant said. They tried to hide it close enough to control, far enough to deny. My stomach twisted. This wasn't a mistake, I said quietly. No, this was planned. Playing the broken wife. Later that afternoon, my dad gave me instructions. You're going to go home, he said, but you're going to act exactly how they expect you to act. Broken, confused, desperate. The thought of seeing them again made my skin crawl, but I agreed. When I walked into the house, Ryan was sitting on the couch like he'd been waiting all night. His eyes were red, his shirt wrinkled. Emily, he said, standing up quickly. Thank God, I was so worried. He reached for me. I stepped back. I don't know what to do, I said, letting my voice shake. Everything feels destroyed. It wasn't acting, but I let him believe it was weakness. Lena wasn't there. She had apparently gone home to give me space. Coward. The lies get thicker. Ryan talked for hours. Apologies, excuses, promises. He blamed stress. He blamed alcohol. He blamed loneliness. He even blamed me. I felt like you were distant, and Lena, she was just there. I nodded silently. That night, I slept in the guest room with my phone hidden under the pillow. Every text, every call, every message, my dad told me to save everything. The first mistake. 2 days later, Ryan made his first move. About the investment account, he said casually while pretending to make coffee. I noticed there was a delay on the transfer. I looked up slowly. What transfer? He froze for half a second. Then he smiled. Oh, nothing. Just something I noticed. That pause told me everything. They're getting nervous, my dad said later. That's good. Lena shows her true face. That evening, Lena came over. She cried the moment she saw me. I hate myself, she said, grabbing my hands. Please believe me, Emily, I never wanted this. I wanted to pull my hands away. Instead, I squeezed hers. I don't know how to trust anyone anymore, I said quietly. She leaned closer. Ryan still loves you, she whispered, but things are complicated. Maybe you should focus on protecting what's yours. My heart pounded. That wasn't comfort. That was a hint. She was guiding me. The trap tightens. That night, my dad called. They think you're weak, he said, and desperate. What do we do now? I asked. We wait, he replied, because desperate people make mistakes. And he was right. The next morning, Ryan placed a folder in front of me. Let's start fresh, he said gently. If we restructure the account together, everything will be transparent. I looked at the papers, legal language, transfer permissions, authorization clauses. It looked harmless. It wasn't. I smiled faintly. Okay, I said. I trust you. As Ryan relaxed for the first time in days, my phone vibrated quietly in my pocket. A message from my dad. Good. Now the real game begins. I signed the papers with a steady hand. At least, that's what it looked like to Ryan. Inside, my heart was pounding so hard I was afraid he could hear it. The document he had placed in front of me looked official. Clean fonts, neat paragraphs, professional language. Anyone who didn't understand legal wording would have signed it without a second thought. That's exactly what Ryan thought I was. What he didn't know was that my father's lawyer had reviewed every single line the night before. And the paper I signed, it wasn't permission, it was proof. The calm before the fall. For the next few days, Ryan was different, relaxed, almost happy. He started cooking dinner again, asking about my day, talking about our future as if nothing had happened. I played my part perfectly. I laughed when I was supposed to. I nodded when he spoke. I pretended the betrayal hadn't shattered something inside me. Lena, on the other hand, started acting nervous. She texted too often, called late at night, asked questions that didn't sound like concern. Did he say anything about the money? Are you okay with the account now? Each message was another nail in their case. I forwarded everything to my dad. Good, he said. She's scared. The second attempt. 3 days later, Ryan came home early. I have great news, he announced, placing his briefcase down. The transfer should clear by tomorrow. My breath caught. Already? I asked, forcing a smile. Yes, he said. We're finally moving forward. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was afraid of losing the money. That was already protected. I was afraid of what would happen when they realized the trap had closed. The evidence piles up. The next morning, my dad called. They tried again, he said. Different route, same destination. Ryan had submitted another authorization request, this time using a forged digital signature. The forensic accountant caught it instantly. "That's fraud," the lawyer said, "clear and intentional." I sat on the edge of my bed, my hands shaking. "How could I not see this?" I whispered. "You saw what they wanted you to see. That's not your fault," my dad replied. That evening, Orion sat across from me at the dining table. "Once the funds settle," he said casually, "we could move abroad for a while. New start, new life." Lena texted minutes later. "Sometimes disappearing is the best way to heal." They were planning to run, together, with my money. That was the moment something inside me hardened. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was ending this. The green light. I called my dad. "I'm ready," I said. "Good," he replied, "because we have everything. Every message, every call, every forged document, every transfer attempt." The lawyer filed the report that night. Law enforcement was alerted, the bank flagged the account, and a quiet investigation began without Ryan or Lena knowing. The last lie. The next morning, Ryan kissed my forehead before leaving for work. "Everything's going to be okay," he said. I watched him walk out the door, knowing it was the last lie he would ever tell me as my husband. That afternoon, Lena called. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked softly. "Yes," I replied. "I'm finally at peace." She sighed in relief. She shouldn't have, because the peace I felt wasn't forgiveness. It was closure, and justice was on its way. The day everything ended began like any other. That's what scared me the most. No warning, no signs, just silence before the storm. Ryan left for work early that morning. He kissed my forehead like a loving husband, smiled, and told me he'd be home late. I stood at the door, watching his car disappear down the street. And for the first time since all this began, I didn't feel fear. I felt ready. The waiting game. The hours passed slowly. I cleaned the house, made coffee I didn't drink, checked my phone every few minutes. My dad called around noon. "It's happening today," he said. My heart skipped. They've reviewed everything, the bank records, the forged signatures, the messages. There's no doubt anymore. I sat down. "What about Lena?" "She's implicated just as deeply," he replied. "She didn't just know, she helped plan it." I closed my eyes. Somehow, hearing it out loud hurt more than I expected. The knock. At 4:17 p.m., there was a knock on the door. Not loud, not aggressive, calm, professional. I opened it to find 2 police officers and a man in a suit. "Emily Carter?" one of them asked. "Yes. We'd like to ask you a few questions regarding an ongoing financial investigation." I nodded and stepped aside. They already knew everything. They weren't here for me. They were here because of me. The call Ryan never expected. At 5:03 p.m., Ryan called. "Hey," he said cheerfully, "did you see the bank notification yet?" I took a deep breath. "Yes," I replied calmly. There was a pause. And I also saw the police." Silence. "What?" he asked sharply. "They're asking questions about forged documents and attempted fraud. You should come home." His breathing changed. I don't know what you're talking about." "You will," I said softly. "Very soon." He hung up. The arrest. Ryan never made it home. Instead, he was arrested in the parking garage beneath his office building. The officers told me later that he tried to deny everything at first, then he tried to blame me, then Lena, and then the evidence was placed in front of him. Every message, every transfer attempt, every forged authorization. The room went quiet. He asked for a lawyer. Lena's breakdown. Lena didn't handle it as well. When officers arrived at her apartment, she panicked. She cried, she screamed, she tried to call me. I didn't answer. Later, I found out she had confessed within an hour, hoping it would save her. It didn't. Facing the truth. That night, my dad came over. We sat in the living room where Ryan and I had once planned vacations and talked about children. "I'm proud of you," my dad said. "I feel empty," I replied. He nodded. "That's normal. You're grieving people who never really existed." That hit harder than anything else. The aftermath. The story spread quickly. Friends called, family asked questions, some people apologized for not seeing the signs. Others went silent. Ryan was suspended from his job immediately. Lena was fired. The money never left my account, not a single dollar. The final confrontation. A week later, I agreed to see Ryan, once with lawyers present. He looked smaller, older, broken. "I never meant to hurt you," he said. "You planned to steal my future. You just didn't plan on getting caught." He cried. "I didn't. I trusted you," I said. "That was my only mistake." I stood up and walked away. That was the last time I saw him as my husband. Choosing myself. The divorce was finalized quickly. I kept the house, I kept my name, I kept my life. Most importantly, I kept my self-respect. Lena tried to reach out months later. I blocked her. Some doors don't deserve to be reopened. The lesson. Today, my life is quieter, but it's real. I learned something painful, but powerful. Love without trust is an illusion. Silence is sometimes strength, and asking for help is not weakness. One call to my dad didn't just save my money, it saved me. The courtroom was colder than I expected, not because of the air conditioning, but because of the truth. I sat in the front row, my hands folded tightly in my lap, as Ryan and Lena were brought in separately. They didn't look at each other. They didn't look at me either. It had been 6 months since the arrests. 6 months of paperwork, depositions, sleepless nights, and learning how to breathe again. Facing them one last time. Ryan finally looked at me when he took his seat. His eyes were empty, not angry, not remorseful, just hollow. Lena kept her head down the entire time. The confident woman I once trusted with my secrets was gone. In her place sat someone terrified of consequences. The case unfolds. The prosecutor laid everything out with brutal clarity. The affair, the secret meetings, the shell company, the forged signatures, the attempted transfers. Every detail was backed by evidence. Bank logs, messages, emails, recorded phone calls. When my name appeared on the screen next to the transfer attempts, my chest tightened. Not from fear, from disbelief that my own husband had tried to erase me. My turn to speak. When I was called to testify, the room went silent. I stood up, walked to the stand, and swore to tell the truth. I told them how I trusted Ryan with my life, how Lena had been my sister in everything but blood, how both of them chose greed over loyalty. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I spoke calmly, and that calm hurt them more than anger ever could. The defense falls apart. Ryan's lawyer tried to argue misunderstanding. Lena's lawyer tried to paint her as manipulated. The judge wasn't convinced. Repeated attempts, he said firmly. Clear intent, coordinated action. Those words sealed their fate. The verdict. After hours of deliberation, the jury returned. The foreman stood. On counts of attempted financial fraud, identity manipulation, and conspiracy, guilty. Ryan's shoulders collapsed. Lena started sobbing. I closed my eyes, not in relief, in release. Consequences. Ryan was sentenced to prison time, followed by heavy fines and a permanent criminal record that ended his career. Lena received a reduced sentence for cooperation, but her reputation was destroyed. They lost their freedom, they lost their future, they lost each other. Walking away free. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. I didn't stop. I didn't explain. I didn't defend myself. I had nothing left to prove. My dad placed his hand on my shoulder. "You're safe now," he said. I nodded. For the first time in a long time, I believed it. A new chapter. Months later, I sold the house. I moved closer to my father. I started therapy. I started healing. The money my dad gave me stayed untouched, not because I feared losing it, but because I no longer needed it to feel secure. I had something better. Myself. Final truth. Betrayal doesn't always come with warning signs. Sometimes it comes with smiles and promises. But strength doesn't come from revenge. It comes from choosing yourself when others choose to break you. One call to my dad didn't just change everything, it gave me my life back. People think the story ends when the court gives its verdict. It doesn't. That's only where survival ends and living begins. Life after justice. In the weeks after the trial, I felt something strange. Not happiness, not relief, silence. The kind of silence that comes after a storm destroys everything, and you're left standing in the ruins, wondering who you are now. Ryan was gone, Lena was gone, but so was the version of me who trusted blindly. I had to learn myself again. The guilt no one talks about. There was a part of me that felt guilty. Guilty for not seeing the signs, guilty for trusting too much, guilty for surviving something that could have destroyed me. My therapist said something I'll never forget. "You didn't fail. You were betrayed." That sentence changed how I looked at everything. Rebuilding from scratch. I moved into a smaller place near the ocean. No memories, no ghosts, just peace. I started waking up early, walking alone, learning how to enjoy my own company. I made new routines, new boundaries, and for the first time in my life, I stopped explaining myself to people who didn't deserve answers. My dad's quiet strength. One evening, my dad and I sat on the balcony watching the sunset. "You know," I said, "one phone call changed everything." He smiled. "No," he replied gently, "you changed everything. I just answered the phone." I realized then, help only works when you're brave enough to ask for it. The message I never sent. Sometimes, late at night, I imagine what I'd say to Ryan or Lena if they stood in front of me again. But I never write it. I never send it. Because closure doesn't come from them. It comes from letting go. Trusting again. People often ask me if I'll ever trust again. The answer is yes, but differently. I no longer trust words. I trust patterns. I trust consistency. I trust actions. And most importantly, I trust myself. Final lesson. If you're listening to my story right now and you feel something is wrong in your life, listen to that feeling. Don't ignore it. Don't silence it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Because sometimes one call to the right person can save more than money. It can save your future. And sometimes losing the people you loved is how you finally find yourself. 2 years passed. Time doesn't erase pain. It teaches you how to live with it. My life didn't suddenly become perfect after the trial. Healing wasn't dramatic. It was slow, quiet, and often lonely, but it was real. The life I built alone. I changed cities, new streets, new faces, no one who knew my past unless I chose to share it. I started working with a nonprofit that helped women recover from financial and emotional abuse. At first, I stayed silent in meetings, listening to stories that sounded painfully familiar. Then, one day, I spoke, and I realized something powerful. My story wasn't a wound anymore. It was a weapon against silence. The letter I never expected. One afternoon, I received a letter with no return address. I knew who it was from before I opened it. Ryan. The handwriting was shaky. He wrote about regret, about prison, about losing everything. He said he thought about me every day. He asked for forgiveness. I read the letter once, then I folded it, and I put it away. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it just means peace. Lena's final attempt. Months later, Lena tried to contact me through a mutual acquaintance. She wanted to apologize face to face. I said no. Some people don't deserve access to the healed version of you. The full truth comes out. What shocked me most came later. During a routine review, investigators discovered Ryan and Lena had planned more than just stealing the money. They had discussed leaving the country permanently, changing names, disappearing. I sat there, stunned. If they hadn't been stopped, the investigator said quietly, you would have been left with nothing. No husband, no best friend, no future. That truth hit harder than the betrayal itself. The strength I didn't know I had. One night, standing alone in my apartment, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked stronger, calmer, unbreakable. I whispered to myself, you survived. And for the first time, I believed it. A new kind of love. People always ask if I fell in love again. Yes, but not the kind that consumes you, the kind that respects you, the kind that doesn't need secrets or control, and most importantly, the kind that doesn't replace your sense of self. The final lesson. If there's one thing my story taught me, it's this. Betrayal can steal your past, but only you decide if it steals your future. Sometimes, losing everything you thought you had is exactly how you discover everything you truly are. And sometimes, one phone call doesn't just change everything. It saves you from a life you were never meant to live. If you're listening to my story right now, I want you to know something important. This isn't just my story anymore. It's for anyone who has ever trusted the wrong people, for anyone who ignored their instincts, for anyone who stayed silent because they were afraid of losing everything. I was afraid too. The fear that keeps us trapped. For a long time, I blamed myself. I thought being strong meant staying quiet. I thought loyalty meant enduring pain. I thought love meant sacrifice, even when it was destroying me. But here's the truth no one tells you. Silence protects the abuser, not the victim. And the moment I spoke up, the moment I made that one phone call, everything changed. What I wish I knew before. I wish I had known that love doesn't require you to lose yourself, that trust doesn't mean blindness, that real friends don't stand beside your enemies, and most importantly, you don't have to fight alone. The power of one decision. People often ask me, how did you find the courage? The answer is simple. I didn't. I was terrified. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing yourself anyway. One decision, one call, one moment of honesty. That's all it took to change my life. To anyone watching this, if you're in a relationship that feels wrong, if someone close to you makes you doubt your worth, if something in your life feels off and you keep making excuses for it, please listen to that feeling. Ask for help. Document everything. Protect yourself. You deserve safety. You deserve respect. You deserve peace. The woman I became. I am no longer the woman who was afraid to lose everything, because I learned something powerful. The moment you choose yourself, you've already won. My story didn't end with betrayal. It began with awakening. Final words. Sometimes the people you trust most teach you the hardest lessons, but those lessons can either break you or build you. I chose to build, and if you're listening to this right now, so can you. There's a moment in every survivor's life when they realize something quietly powerful. The pain didn't win. I did. But it takes time to understand that. When the noise finally fades. After everything was over, the court, the letters, the rumors, the questions, life became quiet. Not empty, quiet. No lies to decode, no excuses to believe, no fear of checking my phone. For the first time in years, my peace wasn't fragile. It was solid. I used to think peace meant happiness. I was wrong. Peace means safety. Peace means clarity. Peace means waking up without dread. The truth about closure. People often ask, did you ever get closure? Here's the truth. Closure didn't come from Ryan admitting guilt. It didn't come from Lena apologizing. It didn't come from the verdict. Closure came the day I stopped asking why. Why he cheated, why she betrayed me, why I wasn't enough. The answer didn't matter anymore. What mattered was what I chose next. The version of me that almost disappeared. Sometimes I think about the woman I used to be, the one who trusted easily, the one who explained other people's bad behavior, the one who believed love meant enduring pain quietly. She didn't deserve what happened to her, but she also didn't know how strong she was yet. I didn't lose her. I evolved. The call that echoes forever. That one phone call to my dad didn't just stop a crime. It reminded me of something deeper. There is always someone who will protect you when the world tries to take advantage of your silence. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. To the ones who hurt me. If Ryan or Lena ever hear this story someday, this is what I'd want them to know. You didn't destroy me. You revealed me. You showed me who you truly were and who I needed to become. And for that, I no longer hate you. I simply don't carry you anymore. The life I choose now. Today, my life is intentional. I choose people carefully. I protect my boundaries fiercely. I trust slowly, but honestly. Love for me is no longer loud promises. It's consistency. It's respect. It's peace. And I will never again confuse chaos for passion. A message to every listener. If you are listening to this story right now and you feel stuck, scared, or betrayed, please hear me clearly. You are not weak for staying, but you are brave for leaving. You are not foolish for trusting, but you are powerful for learning. And you are never wrong for choosing yourself. Final lesson. Some betrayals steal years from your life. Others give you your life back. Mine did both. And in the end, I didn't just save my money. I saved my future, my identity, my voice. Sometimes everything changes because of one moment, one truth, one decision, one phone call. And sometimes That's exactly how a survivor is born. People think healing is loud. They imagine dramatic moments, sudden happiness, instant freedom. But healing is quiet, and it begins when no one is watching. When life finally slows down. A year after everything ended, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at Ryan, not at Lena, not even at myself. I woke up one morning, made coffee, stood by the window, and noticed my hands weren't shaking. For the first time in years, my body believed I was safe. The unexpected call. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. "Emily Carter?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes. My name is Sarah. I'm calling from the Financial Crimes Unit. There's something you should know." My heart tightened. Even after everything, fear still remembered the way in. The truth that came late. Sarah explained carefully. During a routine audit, they discovered Ryan had been involved in another attempted fraud years before meeting me. Another woman, another account, another plan that failed quietly. He didn't change. He practiced. I sat down slowly. "So, it wasn't about me?" I whispered. "No," she said gently. "It never was." That truth healed a part of me I didn't know was still bleeding. A weight finally lifted. For so long I had wondered, was I too trusting, too kind, too blind? The answer was simple. I loved honestly, and that was never a flaw. Turning pain into purpose. Months later, I was invited to speak at a small conference about financial safety and emotional abuse. I almost said no, but then I remembered the version of me who didn't know what signs to look for. So I said yes. I stood on that stage with shaking hands and told my story, not with anger, with truth. And when I finished, a woman in the front row was crying, not loudly, just quietly, the way people cry when they finally feel seen. She hugged me afterward and said, "I was going to sign the papers tomorrow. I won't now." In that moment, everything made sense. What betrayal really took and gave. Betrayal took my marriage. It took my best friend. It took my old life. But it gave me awareness. It gave me boundaries. It gave me a voice. And most importantly, it gave me myself. Love redefined. I won't pretend love doesn't scare me anymore. It does. But I no longer fear losing someone more than I fear losing myself. The next time I love, it won't be from need. It will be from choice. The final realization. Some people come into your life to love you. Others come to teach you. Ryan and Lena were never meant to stay. They were meant to reveal. And once they did, their role in my story was over. A message from the other side of healing. If you're still in the middle of your storm, please remember this. You won't always feel this broken. You won't always question your worth. You won't always replay the betrayal. One day, you'll breathe without thinking about it. And that's when you'll know you made it. Closing words. I didn't get the ending I imagined. I got the ending I needed. Not a fairy tale, but freedom. Not perfection, but peace. And if my story reached you today, maybe it's because you're stronger than you think and braver than you know. Sometimes life doesn't break you. It clears the path for who you were always meant to be.